Marco T. Camacho.
Here.
Lynn Underwood Segley.
Here.
John F. Flores.
Here.
Catherine E. Leonard.
Here.
Justin S. McLaughlin.
Who was here?
He's here. He just stepped out.
Jean Marie Napolitano.
Here.
Naomi Neville. There's a quorum present, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about the clock, but we'll get moving with the meeting. If you could turn off your cell phones, could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Has anyone signed up for the Citizens Forum?
No, they have not.
First order of business, please.
Public hearing on the recommended 2016-2017 operating budget.
Yes, this is a public hearing on the operating budget. Anybody from the public that would like to address our current budget, and we will not be voting on, we won't have the second vote tonight. It will be at the next meeting. I just figured I'd let everybody know. If anybody would like to address the council, please come up, identify yourself.
Good evening, I'm Carmela Gear, and I'm the Executive Director of the Edward King House
Carmela,
Senior
pull the mic
Center.
down, please.
Is
Thanks.
that better? Yes. Better? I'm Carmela Gear, I'm the Executive Director of the Edward King House Senior Center. I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to come before you this evening and to be considered for support by the City of Newport. In the 3 short years of my tenure as Executive Director, the Edward King House Senior Center has played a major role in the transformation of the community landscape for senior services, from a gathering location for senior citizens to a highly respected hub for seniors in need of resources for basic needs, health and wellness opportunities, lifelong learning offerings, and now we're serving more than 500 seniors on a weekly basis. A priority need for the Edward King House Senior Center, which operates a vibrant 12-month program of services and opportunities, is funding for operating expenses toward personnel for the day-to-day operations and program implementation needs of the center. The Edward King House is requesting $20,000 from the City of Newport to support this part of the program that makes a meaningful difference in the lives of our senior citizens. This contribution will give us the jump start we need to continue the upward trajectory of program expansion and service delivery. While we continue to implement and expand our recently developed fundraising plan, we believe that the Edward King House Senior Center is consistent with the mission and interest of the City of Newport to provide a comprehensive array of health and safety facilities whose mission is the care and protection of its citizens and visitors. So we hope that you'll find it in your hearts and in the budget to support our program. Okay. And just a couple of things that I'd like to add to that. You know, I've only been in the position, some days it feels like I've been there since 1885. And then there are other days when I have to remember that, you know, I've only been in this position for a little less than 3 years. I'll have my 3-year anniversary in September. So when we started 3 years ago, we had a membership of 349. We now boast over 748 members in less than 3 years. We had no academic offerings. Now we have 26. We had 6 clubs and group activities. Now we have 13. And I believe that you have, you know, all that I'm talking about right now in front of you in your packets. But we went from a relatively small and somewhat sleepy senior center to an incredibly busy and vibrant program. And as our senior population continues to grow, the need for support continues to grow as well. But the revenue that comes in from sources like the state and so on and so forth continues to shrink. And so that's why I'm before you tonight requesting those additional funds.
Thank you. And we have your request, and we will be taking it under advisement.
Thank you, Mayor Napolitano.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the budget?
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to close the public hearing on the recommended 2016-2017 operating budget.
Second.
There's a motion second to close the public hearing. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, Councilor.
Could the manager tell us whether he can find $20,000 for the request that was just made to us? I mean, And we talked about this at the workshop last week.
Yes, we've discussed, the finance director and I have discussed it, and the answer is yes.
All right, fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam Chair, I make a motion to continue items A through M to the June 22nd meeting.
Second.
There's a motion and second to continue to the June 22nd meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
The consent calendar.
Madam Chair, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to add action item number 5543 and include it as item 22 under communications. This is the solar panels and wastewater treatment plan action item.
Okay, there's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
The consent calendar.
Okay. Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar in its entirety with the exceptions of items A3 and item J.
Second.
There's a motion and second to approve the consent calendar in its entirety with the exceptions. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a special event license, Rhode Island Society, DBA Newport Independence Day festivities, Sons of the Revolution.
Madam Chair, as per Colonel Loth's request, I make a motion to waive the application fee on the application.
Second.
There's a motion second to waive the fee on their application. Discussion? Counselor?
Madam Chair, I think they're also asking us to provide a police detail in conjunction with that celebration. I believe that was addressed in their letter to us.
Mr. Loth, could you come up, please?
Good evening.
The request was to waive the fee and provide,
And provide a police detail for the event happening in Washington Square for safety purposes and also for, crowd control. It would require a closing of Courthouse Street, which has been done for, I don't know how many years. So we're asking if that would be provided to allow the event to go on, be safe for the people. This event is certainly based deeply in his history. John Handy, Major John Handy, read the Declaration of Independence from the steps of the Colony House in 1776. 50 years later, he read it again, and the Sons of the Revolution have carried that tradition on since that reading on the 50-year anniversary. Also, the Newport Artillery Company will be firing a salute in Washington Square. It's the only place in the country you will see cannons fired by that were cast by Paul Revere, still fired in a salute to our nation. It's an event that's open to the public. It's for the public. It's Newport's event, so we're asking if you would please help to support that.
can I suggest an amendment to the approval that we amend it subject to working out the details with administration?
Second?
There's a motion and second on the amendment. To move to approve as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Communication from the Aquidneck Island Planning Commission.
Okay. Madam Chair, just a reminder to the Newport City Council that we did receive an email from the Executive Director of the Aquidneck Island Planning Commission. The AIPC has completed a draft strategic plan and has requested that the cities and towns of Newport, Middletown, and Portsmouth and their councils look at it, provide any necessary edits, and to please return those edits no later than June 30th to the AIPC, and a final draft will be submitted to us at a later date. I make a motion to approve, or receive, rather.
There's a
Receive,
motion
yeah.
and second to receive.
Madam Chair?
Discussion, yes.
I would just ask, the manager between now and the next meeting, if there's any issues that he thinks need to be brought to their attention. Otherwise, we'll just say it's a great document, but if staff could look at it.
Yes, they sent me a copy. We're going to review it.
Thank you.
Okay, just remind you to use the microphone so we can pick up our friends at home. Thank you. I know they're
That goes for you, too.
Sorry.
We're all trainable. Thank you. Motion second to receive.
Okay, motion and second to receive. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Entertainment license renewal for Red Parrot Inc., DBA The Red Parrot Restaurant.
Yes, this is the entertainment indoor license for the Red Parrot at 344-48 Thames Street. I move passage.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a new vittling license, Gerald DuPont, DBA Edible Creations by Jerry.
Yes, this is a vittling license for Edible Creations at 23 America's Cup inside the Gateway Center. I move passage.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a new sidewalk cafe, NDC Enterprises, DBA Norries, 156 Broadway.
Yes, this is a sidewalk cafe for Norries located at 156 Broadway. I move passage.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Councilor McLaughlin.
we've had a lot of discussion about sidewalk cafes this year, and the manager is going to bring us back some suggestions. And in view of that, I'm going to vote to approve this, but I really am concerned that we're looking at this in the wrong way. Some of these establishments are coming to us and they're measuring out, here's 6 feet for you, the rest is for us. We've spent a lot of money to refurbish Broadway, and I think we need to take a more proactive approach to determining what they can use and what belongs to the rest of the residents.
Yeah, I would agree. We've all had discussions about this. One of the observations I'll make, it's really three places. It's really three places, and they're all in the same general area. Two, including Norries tonight, are asking to use the so-called bump-out areas that are towards the crosswalk area. The other one is across the way of the Fifth Element, which has a double row of tables. It had been my attitude or my suggestion that we see what happens, but because of the construction, because of the ongoing construction, I think it's ultimately somewhat difficult to picture what's going to happen and to understand the problems associated with these cafes. But as you all know, I think we're probably understanding the issues pretty quickly, and as recent as Friday evening, started to understand them quite intently. So I think there's an ongoing process here with regard to this particular license. I'm not going to interpose any issues. The staff has vetted them. However, I do see some things that need to be looked at just in terms of the whole configuration, notwithstanding the issue of being able to take advantage of what I'm going to refer to as the bump outs. I don't think pacing up and down Broadway on a daily basis, maybe there might be one other place that could take advantage of it, but it's not of the type of establishment that Norries or the Caleb and Broad is, or indeed the Fifth Element is. But I think we've got to look at it not only in terms of what are these improvements for. I'm going to tell you they're for the residents, and they're for free passage along the sidewalk and access along the sidewalk. And but then again, we want to enhance, I'm going to call it the fine dining experience that Broadway seems to be, or is developing, or has developed. So I think we've already started. I'm hoping to come back in mid-July with an ordinance. And what I want to, we've had this discussion before, but what I want to caution the restaurant owners is maybe things will change based upon the recommendation from our view and the recommendation that we're going to make to the council. So there's nothing set in concrete right now, but we need to look at it closely. And one of the things I want to make sure of is just basic, other than free passage, but is pedestrian safety. I went up to this particular location today. I called the director Bill Riccio about it, and we had a nice discussion about it, but we probably had a bit of a disagreement about it. And I'm concerned about the crosswalk area. I'm concerned about those ballards that are at the crosswalk area. But I'm willing to recommend to you that this go forward, but I just want to caution that things may change, as Councilor McLaughlin has said. Ultimately, any changes to the ordinance are your policy. These places don't neatly fit within your policy right now as set forth in the ordinance. So things need to be looked at very closely.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I'd like
Councilor.
to just offer sort of an amendment to the approval of this, and that
Yeah.
is that I don't see that they're finished all the work that's being done.
That's right.
In that area, and that this license not take effect until the city manager's determined that it's safe for people to use
Yes,
those bump outs. And that would be for both Caleb Earl as well as for Norris, you know.
right. I think that's a fine suggestion, because I ran into that issue somewhat Friday night, and I was dissatisfied with some of the circumstances.
So I'm a little confused. We're not going to grant the license until the completion of the
We'll grant it subject
road?
to his approval.
Okay,
He has to go out and say it's okay now.
right.
Yeah,
Not pending the completion of the construction.
Not the whole thing, but where the bump out is, they're still laying the
Yeah,
bricks.
you can't put anything out there right now. I mean, I don't want to see one table.
Right.
I would suggest we don't want to see one table out there and they're still bricking around it or pouring concrete around it. Honestly, John, I think that's part of the problem that I ran into Friday evening when I had the discussion with a few of you on this, that the construction wasn't complete, and so I saw some issues. Not everyone agreed with me, but I saw some issues because there wasn't a completion of construction.
I'd just like to bring up, and I thank Councilman McLaughlin for addressing this issue. Every single one of the council members have addressed this issue with the manager at different times.
Yes, absolutely.
We have tried to be very flexible with Broadway. We understand they've been under the duress of construction. However, we need to be very careful in the future in reviewing the application for outdoor licensing, and I agree there's an expanded amount of space, but the purpose of complete streets is to assure accessibility and walkability for residents and visitors. So taking that into account, we look forward to seeing whatever is presented to us by the solicitor and our manager.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was an amendment.
Amendment to the motion.
Second.
There's a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
There's a motion and second to approve as amended. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a new sidewalk cafe parlor, LLC DBA Parlor, 200 Broadway.
Yeah, this is a new sidewalk cafe at 200 Broadway, Parlor LLC. I move passage.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Second hearing on an application for a Class A indoor entertainment license, 99 West LLC DBA 99 Restaurant and Pub.
This is a hearing. Is there anybody here that would like to address this issue? Is there anybody on the council that has any questions?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing and approve the application.
Second.
There's a motion and second to close the hearing and approve the application. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Second hearing, application for a Class A indoor entertainment license, NSC Inc., DBA Newport Sportsman's Club.
Yes, this is an application for indoor entertainment at Newport Sportsman's Club at 110 J.T. Connell Highway. This is a hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to address the issue? Please come. And identify yourself for the record, please. Thank you.
Michael DiPaola. I own the property adjacent to this establishment, and my only concern is that it's a private sports club, and on certain times there's been an overflow from that establishment onto my property, and next thing you know, the cars are there in the morning blocking entrance to my building, and I'm wondering if this is applicable to that situation.
Okay, is there somebody from administration that could possibly address this, please?
Well, this is an entertainment license, and I'm not going to condone them parking on your property, but it may be something you need to take up with them directly. It's not something that we can address.
No, I understand that, but granting them an additional license or an entertainment license will encourage more people to go there, and being a private club, is that an issue? Do they need a certain amount of off-street parking?
There's no zoning issues, and zoning is what we characterize as our land use regulatory controls. There are no issues from the administration standpoint on this. That's the best I can tell you. This is an application for indoor entertainment,
Okay.
and if it attracts more people, it attracts more people, but you'll have to have the discussion with them as
Okay.
to the impact on your property if the council allows the license.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to address this issue?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing and approve.
Second.
There's a motion second to close the public hearing and approve the application. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
A public hearing on an application for a sound variance, Pyrotechnico, June 11th, 2016, from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Yes, and Councilwoman Leonard is recusing herself. This is a sound variance for Pyrotechnico on June 11th at Fort Adams from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody here who would like to address this issue?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing and approve the application.
Second.
There's a motion second to close the public hearing and approve the application. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Public hearing on an application for an entertainment license expansion, 2 Patties and a Canuck LLC, DBA The Fifth Element, 107 to 111 Broadway.
This was continued from May 25th. This is a public hearing on the Fifth Element to expand their Class A indoor hours and to add Class B outdoor entertainment from Memorial to Labor Day from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. This is a hearing. Is there anybody here who would like to address this issue?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Discussion.
Madam Chair?
Should we
Yes,
vote to
Count-
close first?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
All in favor of closing the hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Hearing closed. Yes, Councilor Leonard, sorry.
Okay. I don't have a problem with granting the indoor license for this establishment, but I recall from the past that there was a request years ago, and there were a lot of residents who lived up the street from there that were not happy with this outdoor entertainment concept. So I could support the indoor license perfectly well, but I really can't support the outdoor license for entertainment.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilor McLaughlin.
As a result of an email that the manager sent last Friday or Saturday, I too walked down Broadway and to observe. As my wife tells me, I'm not an enforcement.
I can't hear you on this
I
side.
can observe. And of course, the thing I observed is 4 establishments that had their doors and windows open with entertainment going on inside. And the reality is, I didn't find it troublesome or offensive. I thought it added in some ways to the character of the new vital Broadway, but it's not in accordance with our ordinance. And I really think we need to revisit, because what they're asking here is to put their band out on the sidewalk. And I'm not going to support that. But at the same time, you know, you go down on Thursday night, and if Norris has the front door open, you can hear a little bit of jazz in the background. And I don't think it's a problem, but I think we need to address what we mean by, you know, outdoor entertainment. Because if they just put a speaker outside, they need an outdoor entertainment license. And it's not before us tonight, but as we move forward, I think we need to rethink what we mean by outdoor entertainment in various parts of the city to make sure that we're not preventing something that might be good. But at the same time, we need to enforce the ordinances as they exist now.
I'd certainly like to weigh in on this. Kate and I go way back to a time when it seemed like every single meeting we were talking about outdoor entertainment. I believe that this vote should be split. I don't think, or I believe that no one has a problem with the indoor licensing. It is the outdoor licensing. And certainly, you know, you can say there's ambiance to the whole situation. But we have a number of establishments across the street, and if in fact they all decided that, hey, I can do this, I can open my doors, I can open my windows, I can let the music waft out, it is adjacent to a residential neighborhood. So I'd be a bit concerned about the outdoor license at this point, and I could not support it. You know, every single time we approve a license, we include that language, windows and doors closed. I know exactly what you're talking about, and certainly we can have further discussion on it at another time, but personally, I'd be willing to approve the indoor, but at this point, at this juncture, I don't feel comfortable approving the outdoor.
I'll make a motion to sever the request such that we vote on them separately.
Second.
Okay. So there's motion and second to sever the request of the indoor and outdoor licensing for Fifth Element. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I make the
Councilor.
motion to grant the indoor license for Two Patty and Canuck LLC, known as the Fifth Element.
Second.
There's a motion and second to approve the licensing indoors for Fifth Element, 107, 111 Broadway.
Second.
There's motion and second.
Okay.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Second part, the outdoor license.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
So when you look at the totality of this project, we're really going into uncharted territory here. It's a grand experiment, right? And I think we should give these types of requests a try. I think it adds a lot to the vitality of that area. And, you know, we can always go back. We can always modify anything that we put forth. It could work. If it does work, it's going to work in a very positive manner. It's going to add a lot of vitality to that area. If it doesn't, we can reevaluate it, we can look at it, and make the appropriate changes and modifications.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I'm
Counselor.
going to vote against having the outdoor entertainment. I think that this is a bit premature. We really need to look at Broadway in its totality, and I can see competing music, and it's kind of a carnival-type atmosphere. I just can't vote for that right now, and I'm just going to say no. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just to keep us
Counselor.
on track here,
Yeah.
I don't think, I'm not going to make a motion to approve the request for an outdoor entertainment license
Sure.
so that we can.
So we can vote on it. You always state it in the
I make a motion to
positive.
approve it, which I won't vote for, but that's.
Right.
We have a second?
Second for purposes of discussion.
Okay,
and
there's
now
a
I'll-
motion and a second to approve the outdoor licensing for the Fifth Element for purposes of discussion. All in favor?
I would like to just make
All in favor
the motion to,
of the motion
to
to approve?
I just want to make a comment before we vote.
Go.
And that is, I already used, adding to the vitality of the community. the problem is if we give it to one person, there are 4 or 5 people that are going to come in next week. I think we need to rethink what we're talking about. And if Fifth Element, I think, has actually been a good neighbor. I haven't heard complaints from the neighborhood about their sound. Their band is just inside the windows. You know, maybe we should be thinking in terms of letting them open up that door while they're serving outdoors, which might be until 10 o'clock. We just need to get out of the box and think of some other ways of dealing with it, but we're not going to do that tonight. At least I'm not going to vote tonight.
Okay. Are we ready to vote? All in favor of allowing outdoor entertainment for Fifth Element, please raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion fails. Thank you.
Resolution requesting the administration to draft an ordinance prohibiting landscaping and construction equipment from working.
Madam Chair,
Councilor Leonard.
this is a resolution to address the time of the use of construction and machinery, and it's to request a change on weekends instead of commencing at 7 o'clock to commence at 8 o'clock, when a lot of people work later and on the weekend and also want to sleep at least an hour more. So I ask for approval of this.
Second?
Second.
There's a motion, second. Discussion.
Madam Chair,
Councilor McLaughlin.
in our ordinance as it stands now, we have a section that talks about sound relative to permitted construction and demolition activities, but it doesn't refer to landscaping. Just a few lines down in the ordinance, we have limits as to how much noise you can make in a residential area, and from 7 a.m. to roughly 10 o'clock at night, it's one level, and from 10 at night to 7 in the morning, it's another. I think I know what we're dealing with here, and that is we don't like being woken up by, gas-powered lawnmowers and weed whackers and hedge trimmers. And I would just suggest, as we send this to the administration, that perhaps the best way to deal with it is to create a new section where residential districts, you can't make noise on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays before 8 o'clock in the morning, rather than focusing on construction equipment. The dB level is really the problem.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilor.
I'll read the resolved, I guess, now then.
Oh, I've read it.
The city solicitor's office will prepare an amendment to section 8.12.060 of the codified ordinances, which prohibit work on Saturdays and Sundays from commencing prior to 8 a.m. And I would say that that's resolved, would result in the solicitor's office coming back with the suggestions for the ordinance.
I agree with Justin. I'm all for supporting the language that would broaden the definition. So
And
it's not
that's
just
what would
limited to
happen.
those. So
Yeah,
I'm fine
we're all in
with that.
favor.
Yeah.
All I know, if somebody's making noise at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to call the police.
Well, Madam Chair.
Yes,
When we
Councilor.
look at the resolve and it says which will prohibit work, we're just talking about landscaping work here, or are we talking?
No.
We're talking about work in general?
No, heavy machinery.
Heavy
Power,
machinery?
heavy
Loud
machinery.
noise, heavy machinery, landscaping.
Joe, you seem like you have some thoughts on
No.
this.
I
You want to weigh
had
in?
some thoughts that were, I'll express them after.
Used.
Yeah. Nothing pertinent, nothing pertinent.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Second reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 10.24 entitled Parking Restrictions on Specific Streets.
Yes, this ordinance was continued from May 25th, and the manager and the Department of Public Services have reviewed it and have come up with a couple alternatives. Currently, it reads 3 spaces from 2-hour limit to 30-minute on Mill Street. And this is a second reading. So I'm going to move to pass it for purposes of discussion, and then I think we really need to hear the council and how they feel about what is being proposed. So I move to pass the ordinance as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
We do
Counsel.
have abutters here.
Yeah.
So I think that they would actually want to speak. I'm not sure if we want to address this individually as counselors. We might actually answer their
Okay, would
concerns
any of the
before-
abutters on Mill Street like to address the issue? No longer than 3 minutes.
Madam Chair, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
We received a memo today in regard to this.
Yeah.
That would alter what we see here, and it might be helpful if we read what the change would be as a suggestion of the city manager prior to having the abutters speak.
Well, I'm ultimately, the policy, I can articulate to you what the note that I sent to you, I think it was yesterday or the day before, it might have even been last week, in terms of a relook, if you will, of this ordinance. But ultimately, I can come up with probably 25 different variations of this ordinance. So I need to hear from the council as to what direction you wish us to go in, which will ultimately result in a draft ordinance. The tweak that we came up with that is not before you this evening was simply providing 2 parking spaces of these 30-minute types on Mill Street. And we do that through providing one within the first area before the yellow line, so within the first 77 feet going west from Bellevue Avenue. And then what we did on the other side, and there's a yellow lined area, and what we did on the other side, we borrowed or took back 6 to 8 feet of the yellow lined area to provide for another 30-minute parking space. So 2 within that, in the area on Mill Street, both at the extremes of the yellow lined area. And then, since we were targeting 3 for no particular reason, 5 were originally requested, I suggested that we put one of those 30-minute spaces up on Bellevue at the top up by the Art Museum. But again, I need to, if we're going to go down this road, and that was the tweak that we came up with. And if we're going to go down this road, I simply need some direction as to the council as to whether you wish to convert these spaces or to 30-minute parking. How many do you wish to convert? If so, and with our assistance, we can place those spaces for you.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, Counselor?
So I've been to Mill Street, and I went there actually a couple of times. The first time, I went, by myself just to look at it. The second time, I actually had a coworker. I was in a car, and we went into the driveways, a couple of driveways, and we pulled out. And there was absolutely plenty of space. And getting out, there's no issue whatsoever. And the compromise that's being thrown out there, which I think is a very fair one, is to, out of those 3 potential parking spots, to have 2 parking spots, 2 30-minute parking spots. And I really see no issue with that. So, but let's put this into a little bit more context. If I recall, about a month ago, a couple meetings back, we denied a request for a gentleman who wanted to put a second driveway on his property because it was going to take away parking, right? It was going to take away some parking spots potentially. This is the same thing in the reverse, though, right? So I really don't see an issue here. I'm pretty certain that, we allow this to happen. No one's going to think anything about it in a month or 2. That's my opinion.
I'd
Madam
just
Chair?
like to ask the solicitor, if I understand what you're proposing correctly, we've actually created one space. Oh, I'm looking at you. I can't help it. Chris, sorry. This is going to take a while.
He won't take responsibility for it.
Administration created a space by eliminating some of the yellow.
Some of it, yeah, not
Some of it.
6 to 8
But
feet of it.
actually
right.
created a space out of it.
Yeah.
And then there was,
No,
or
hold on.
created two spaces or one?
Hold on. I sent you all the PDF. And if you think about Mill Street and think about parking from Bellevue down to the yellow line right now going in a westerly direction, as it stands today, first taking 20 feet of that area just before the yellow line and designating that as a 30-minute parking space. In other words, instead of the 3 that we have set up today for you in the existing ordinance, taking the 3rd one only and setting that up as a 30-minute parking space. Then leapfrogging the yellow-lined area
Okay.
as you go down westerly towards on Mill Street, taking perhaps 6 to 8 feet of the yellow-lined area on the west.
Yep.
And then, of course, we measure these spaces out to be 20 feet in length, and we know probably can fit 2 cars in it anyways, but that's our standard. So effectively, taking 20 feet of that area, 14 feet of the existing area, plus, call it 6 feet of the yellow-lined area to make a 20-foot space. So
Okay.
2 on Mill, both separated, one on one side of the yellow-lined area and the other on the other side of the yellow-lined
Okay.
area. And then I had suggested that perhaps another one, again, I simply used 3. I'm the one that chose the number 3. It was requested to be 5 in terms of the spaces. I put the 3rd one up on Bellevue Avenue, right at the corner of, in the existing area where the art museum is, on Bellevue.
Madam
I
Chair,
understand. Yes, Counselor.
let me go back to the number that sits in front of us. If you take the yellow line that has now no parking, is it my understanding that 6 or 8 feet of that only would be designated towards the 30?
On the westerly end of it,
Right.
the tip of it.
So that means
As you go down Mill
out of-
Street.
we would basically take parking that's now 2 or 3 hours, take away 1 space and part of another.
Be taking 34 feet of the existing parking space
Right.
on Mill
And-
Street
and a very
and
short
adding 6
piece.
feet to it to make 40.
All right.
2 spaces.
So you're saying take away, your suggestion was to take away basically 2 spaces almost on Mill.
Right.
And
Sure.
another on Bellevue.
Sure, that's a good way to just make it easy.
I just have to say that from my perspective, I can personally see 1 spot on Mill and maybe 1 spot on Bellevue, because 30 minutes, especially in the summer when you would probably need it or use it, 30 minutes is not a long time to do much. Maybe order a sandwich beforehand and go pick it up and get back to your car, or go to the bank, or run in to do a quick errand. But I think that personally, to take away 3 spaces for 30 minutes is too much. That's my personal opinion, because I don't think much can get done personally in 30 minutes. I would support 1 on Mill and 1 on Bellevue, but I just can't see 2.
I'm sorry, but I'm confused.
Sure,
I,
that's okay.
Are we not creating 2 spaces on Mill Street
No,
where
no.
parking was not
No,
allowed
no, we're
before?
simply taking, where parking was not allowed before, I'm taking 6 to 8 feet of where parking was not allowed before.
So there's just 1 space where parking was not allowed before?
Right, 6 feet of it. 6 feet. Think about a parking
6
space
feet.
is
Okay,
standard
so
being
6
20
feet,
feet.
okay.
So I'm imposing within 6 feet of a yellow-lined area.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have the diagram, which I conveyed to all of you, but I can show it to you.
I have it, I can pass it down.
Okay,
That's,
great.
you guys want to?
is there any other
But
discussion?
how many spaces will we lose on 2-hour spaces will we lose on Mill Street by doing this?
Well, yeah, right.
Almost 2? We'll lose almost 2.
Well, you think about from Bellevue down to, it's 77 feet from Bellevue down to the existing yellow line right now. A portion of that is handicap. So you effectively are left with, let's call it 60 feet. At least from our dimensions, how many cars you can really fit in there is all relative. So really all we're reconfiguring is the 6 feet. There's nothing, I think Kate expressed, I think the simplest way to look at this is, sure, 2 spaces on Mill, that's what we're taking, or suggesting, I should say, and 1 space on Bellevue. I don't think we need to make it any more complicated than that, but I know everyone was somewhat surprised at the length of the yellow-lined area, and it kind of threw everyone off a little bit, but again, just to caveat it, we are taking some of that area based upon what the Public Works came up with.
Madam Chair?
Counselor.
With respect to your most recent recommendation, I don't see any benefit in putting a space on Bellevue across the street to try to help businesses on the other side of the street. So I think I would dispense with that. We're doing something that's new, and I'd be happy to create 2 spaces this year and see how it works. My only recommendation would be, you're creating a new class, they ought to be together. And they ought to be, because they have to be marked.
Right, they do.
Not just with the sign. So if you put one on the other side, I just blend them together and put them in the same place. And
Yep.
So you're looking for policy guidance, and that's what I'd recommend you do.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Counselor.
Just to elaborate on that, and Joe, we've talked about this a little bit. I could support the 2 spaces on Mill. I don't support the space on Bellevue. However, I think we really need to seriously consider adding a driveway cut to the realtor on the corner of Bellevue and Mill. There was a time where the realtor was able to use that parking area alongside of their building, but no longer can because because of the curb. I remember a vehicle being parked there. I think there's been. I know you're here. Maybe you want to talk about that, but I would advocate, since we're taking 1 spot away, that we have the opportunity with a curb cut and creation of a driveway right there on the corner, we'd be giving 1 back as well. So,
Madam Chair?
Yes, Counselor
Seems
Leonard.
like we don't have a consensus here. Everybody's
I think we do. I think
Well,
we
I think
do.
it's 2 spots and then 1 spot here and 1 not there, so.
If anybody is here to address this issue, please come, identify yourself, and thank you.
Vincent Marcello. I own the building on the corner of Bellevue and Mill. First of all, thank you for continuing from 4 weeks ago. I have an exhibit and 2 letters from my residential tenants, which I have 4 residential tenants in that building. May I submit them?
Motion to
Certainly.
receive.
second.
There's a motion, a second to receive. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
As long as you get enough for them, Ben. Yeah. You got enough for them?
Okay. So whatever you're presenting to the council, I need 1 copy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Oh, I got it.
May I ask the people who are here tonight who oppose restricting any parking on Mill Street as discussed to stand? Ms. Anderson? Thank you. In my presentation, the first page of it lays out the yellow area we discussed. My measurements are reflected, which seem to be somewhat different from what the city manager represented a few minutes ago. But regardless of that, there's well over 50 or 60 feet of the yellow area, and I still have not heard whether that's officially designated no parking by the city, but that's how it's been observed and ticketed by the police department. So it is, has not been used. There are several reasons that this proposal is going to interfere with the value of my building, because my tenants are already turning over, and I just submitted letters indicating why those people are leaving. And for the people in the Realtor's office, which is frequently referred to as an office, but is very much of a retail establishment as well. And to restrict those people, 20 of them at a minimum work there full-time, to lose the parking, and they really need 3 or 4 hours, not 2. And we used to have unlimited parking when I bought the building. But anyway, so there's been a slow creep towards infringing on the parking that's most accessible to the tenants in my building. Okay. The person who has proposed this, my neighbor, knew from the outset that his building had no parking, had limited visibility, but he has been consistently trying to make it a high-profile retail establishment. On a one-way street in Newport going out of town, I don't really think that's going to happen. I don't think adding 30-minute parking, whether 1 or 2 or 3, is going to make much difference. We are a big draw on that block. If he were a better neighbor, he would get a lot of business through our referrals. But I won't go there. Okay, thank you. The prior presentation by that owner gave you the impression that I'm an obstacle for business there. Well, I certainly am not. I've been there for over 30 years and have always promoted the businesses in that neighborhood. We just want a reasonable amount of parking for currently my tenants and many of them who used to be on my staff. Okay, so my proposal was, before you do anything with the existing 2-hour parking, you have to look at what is now, by my measurements, 3 cars worth in the yellow area. That's dead space 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No one can use it. Why is that? Once again, I ask. I don't think it's ever been officially designated. I haven't heard there's anything on record saying that area is no parking. And as Mr. Flores just said, he had no trouble pulling out of the most difficult the most difficult driveway there. As far as Mr. Camacho's remarks about allowing me off-street parking where I used to have it, all the better. That takes an additional spot away that used to be taking parking away from on-street parking. I think there's someone else here who's would like to talk also. Thank you very much.
Could I inquire, is Mr. Riccio here?
Yes. As far as
I would like to...
Back in the corner.
Thank you, Mr. Marcello. I'd like to find out, it is an extensive yellow line, and there must be a reason for it.
Yeah, the reason is about as thick as our budget, and because there's a long, long history here of the debate over that area with the abutters. I'm sure Vin was involved in it. The prior owner, Mr. Perry, the current owner of the buildings in question is not there, but there were some others there. But there's a long history of a debate, I would say, primarily among what I saw as the three parcels, if you will, and the city attempting to come up with some cogent solution to the problems relative, or the debate that would incur anytime you try to tweak the parking up there. In addition to, There's a driveway that provides access to the back of some buildings on Bellevue Avenue. They were involved in the debate. So I'll increase that to 4 parcels that had a debate. And they've been back and forth in front, over the years, back and forth in front of the ITC. Most likely, I don't recall, but I'm sure they were in front of the council a number of times. But this has been an ongoing issue for, I'm going to say, for years.
Okay.
I pulled out all the minutes of all the various bodies involved in it, and it's as thick as our budget. So,
Okay.
I just want to say something.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
So-
Counselor?
and I'll just say as an aside before Bill Riccio gets up here, if you want to question him, I did ask Bill Boardman, one of our traffic engineers, to look at perhaps taking more of the yellowed area, perhaps dealing with the area that's across the narrow driveway, perhaps dealing with that on a loading zone basis only and freeing up parking otherwise, and he recommended against it.
So,
I didn't hear your last.
Recommended against it, I'm sorry.
You know, I think oftentimes we make these decisions for the sake of making both sides happy. But and that's what it seems like to me. But
Well,
the compromise here does not leave you with an equitable outcome, right? I don't see any reason. We got 65 feet of yellow line. There's no impediment whatsoever for the cars to exit in any direction, and you're essentially just stripping away.
no, I'm not doing anything. I'm not trying to I'm simply presenting an issue that someone came to all of you with and presenting it. How you decide to deal with that issue is your policy decision. I'm not making up any decisions for you this evening.
Right, okay.
Quite frankly,
Point taken.
I think this, well, I won't go there. But I think I simply am looking for direction from the council based upon the information that you have, as well as the input from the neighbors that you have. And obviously, you're not going to make everyone happy. It's just not going to happen. I've seen the thick packet of information, and believe me, not everyone was happy. So it is what it is. My observation, and by the way, I'm not advocating for this situation or any situation, but my observation is there's a lot of parking up there. There's a lot of parking. I took the time to go up there a number of times, just as all of you did. There's a lot of parking around the park. There's parking on Bellevue. I'm sure it fills up on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I can tell you right now, there's plenty of parking there Monday through Thursday.
If you want my policy direction, and I'm sure it's shared with several people up here, it's very simple. We have 65 feet of yellow line, potentially 3 parking spots. The gentleman here, Vincent, he's coming up with a very equitable outcome solution here, which is just to create 2 parking spots out of that 65 feet.
I'm trying to get you to
Sorry,
talk on
guys.
the microphone. I know it's difficult.
I think the gentleman here, Vincent, his recommendation, I feel, is a very equitable one, which is to create 2 parking spots. So that is my policy recommendation.
I'm not going to
you.
object to it, but I'm going to tell you we'll be back here in a month with the abutters to those parcels. We'll be having the
We are
same
here.
discussion.
See, but this is part of the politics that I don't really enjoy, and that is let's make a decision based on how other people feel.
I agree. Make a decision.
We are elected into
Right.
this position, into this role, Joe,
Yes.
because we make decisions on what we believe to be right and wrong. And you're asking for my policy
Yeah,
direction. and
that's
I'll just
fine.
give it to
That's really all I'm asking for. That's fine.
Thank you.
I'm fine.
Madam Chair? I'll get in
Counselor?
line. If there's somebody else waiting, I'll wait. But,
No.
you know, one of the first questions I asked the manager after touring the space with Mr. Marcello was, why do we need all of that yellow space? As you pointed out to me, what's it for? You know, I noticed a boat trailer in the property, and I thought, if the only reason it's there is so that somebody with a boat trailer can take their boat in and out, why can't that person, you know, arrange to have it coned on those few days of the year when he needs to take his boat in and out? I understand that the second smaller driveway goes to businesses, and they may need to have deliveries. But again, there are loading zones in this city that are open until 11 o'clock, and then they become open to parking. I don't know that we've explored all of the options, and I hate, you know, I know how big your packet is.
Yeah.
But I really think that some of that yellow striping area should be dealt with in a different way, but some of it's probably needed to access that short driveway. We're getting into a big discussion over a small
Right.
area,
Issue.
and
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, so can we do this just to simplify everything? If we have enough people up here, can we just make an amendment to create 2 parking spots out of that 65 feet yellow space?
I believe that first of all, they'd have to,
They'd
that's
have to come back
illegal.
with some- I mean, you can tell me what to do. I'm going to come back and provide you the measurements. That's how we do it. We're a little more precise than just suggesting put 2 parking spaces there. I'll come back with you. It's an ordinance, so I'll come back with you the appropriate language, but that's fine with me.
Okay. Madam Chair?
Yes.
Since we've given the city manager their recommendations and we can't really make a decision tonight, I'd make a motion to continue this matter to the June 22nd meeting.
Second.
There's a motion second to continue the matter to June 22nd. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. Thank you.
Action number 5525.
Oh, it's me, okay. Madam Chair, staff makes a recommendation to approve the award of bid number 16-058 for 5 police vehicle computers and mounts and installation to Patrol Products Consortium doing business as Patrol Data of Warwick, Rhode Island at their bid price of $21,775.00. This was continued from the May 25th meeting. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion second. Discussion.
Madam Chair?
Councilor McLaughlin.
you know who's going
I'm looking your way.
I just have one question. The resolution says we're approving an agreement. Is this a contract? I mean,
Well, anytime you purchase something, it's a
contract?
It's a contract. Sure, purchase order is a contract, sure.
Okay,
Sure.
so it's a contract.
I'm actually glad you even mentioned that because I've had this discussion internally about purchase orders. Purchase orders are contracts. Anytime you exchange consideration, I should ask Ben this, he's a solicitor, but anytime you exchange consideration, money and the like, and you purchase something, it's a contract. Sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5527.
Madam Chair, it's recommended that the City Council approve the attached agreement for renewal of the animal shelter services for the City of Newport. The proposed agreement calls for a 2-year term from July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2017. It is currently budgeted. This was continued from the May 25th meeting. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5537.
Madam Chair, at the request of the City Manager, I make a motion to continue this matter to June 22nd.
Second.
There's a motion second to continue the matter till June 22nd. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5538.
Madam Chair, it is recommended that the City Council authorize the Newport Fire Department to retain and purchase the Stryker power load system currently installed in their Rescue 1 vehicle from Stryker EMS of 3800 Center Avenue, Portage, Michigan, for the sum of $15,252.76. It is currently budgeted. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5539.
Madam Chair, Newport Fire Department recommends the award of the 4th of July fireworks display to Pyrotechnical Fireworks Incorporated of Newcastle, Pennsylvania, for a fireworks display to last a minimum of 20 minutes with a maximum time of 30 minutes, to be held on Monday, July 4th, with a rain date of Tuesday, July 5th. The final award amount will be determined by the level of donations received, funds to be raised from private donations. Move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5540.
Madam Chair, City staff recommends that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign the Rhode Island Department of Behavioral Health Care, Developmental Disabilities, and Hospitals grant contract amendment in the amount of $10,424.50 for the period of July 1st, 2016 to December 30th of 2016. Madam Chair, this increases the grant award amounts in the grants fund. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5541.
Madam Chair, Department of Utilities, Water Pollution Control Division staff recommends the award of Amendment Number 2 of Contract Number 15-037 with CH2M Hill for engineering services for drainage investigation and flooding analysis for the Wellington Avenue and Bridge Street for an amount not to exceed $309,211.00. The Amendment Number 2 is for services associated with design of the replacement of the Marsh Street 36-inch by 60-inch brick storm drain, which was identified in need of immediate attention as part of the condition assessment conducted with the original Amendment Number 1. Funding for this project will be provided from the Water Pollution Control Enterprise Fund for capital improvements in fiscal year 2017. It is also recommended that the term of the contract be extended to September 30th of 2017. Madam Chair, it is currently budgeted. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5542.
Madam Chair, Department of Utilities, Water Pollution Control Division staff recommends approval of a grant agreement with Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, which funds provided by Section 319 of the Clean Water Act for the Hillside Avenue Green Infrastructure Demonstration Project. The grant award is for $279,863.00, based on the projected cost of $559,726.00 for the project. Funding for the city's required 50% match will be met with in-kind services and funding from the Water Pollution Control Division Control Capital Improvement Program. It is currently budgeted. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Councilor Leonard.
this is a demonstration project that I see, and the city's match is about $280,000. And I understand now that it would be the right-of-way / equals the roadway owned by the city. But to me, a demonstration project can be successful or not successful. Has this type of project been done elsewhere, and has it been successful?
Well, I'll let Julie answer it, but I don't want to be flip on it, but I think that's what we're doing on Broadway right now, effectively. But I'll let her fill in the details in terms of the green infrastructure. If she could come up to the microphone, please.
Julia Forge, Director of Utilities. This project that we submitted is looking at ways where we can retrofit existing city right-of-way, city streets and sidewalks to implement green infrastructure, low-impact development to address our stormwater issues. Part of the consent decree we have with EPA requires the city to start looking at low-impact development and green infrastructure. This project itself is in an area where we had a drainage study. It's at the intersection of Hillside and Bedloe, where we have flash flooding during the extreme rain events. So we believed that we need to be able to show developers who come into the city or anybody who redevelops their property that green infrastructure works, and we think the city should take a step forward and show that we are doing it ourselves. And this area right here, adjacent to my Antonelli Park, is a good fit because it already has bump outs, so there's no real road construction involved here. We're just retrofitting what's there and putting in bioretention and pavers similar to what you see on Broadway.
How much of the money is coming from in-kind services and how much from the water pollution control budget?
Approximately $20,000 of our fees. Most of it is design and then the actual construction contract. The bulk of the $560,000 project.
So because it's a demonstration project, and I understand that that's what's been going on Broadway, but this, again, is called a demonstration project?
Well, I think it was meant to be more of a pilot and to show that the city's making an effort, so as we go forward with other street projects, we can see what works and what doesn't work. We have the examples on Broadway. This is another area where it's retrofitting. And
I don't think you can underscore the fact that it's discussed in the consent decree that we have the EPA as
Well,
well.
I know we're trying to stop the
Right.
flooding. I know the area has flooding. I guess my question is, by the time we spend our 280,000, are we pretty sure that it would work?
It's used, there's green infrastructure is used in a lot of the larger cities. New York City uses green infrastructure. Philadelphia has a large program. The city of Boston has implemented some green infrastructure, especially cities with CSOs. A lot of those communities are looking at green infrastructure to address some of the issues.
It's a lot of money. I hope it works.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5543.
Madam Chair, Department of Utilities Water Pollution Control Division recommends approval of the attached resolution authorizing bonds for financing the design and installation of a solar system at the wastewater treatment facility to offset some of the facility's power usage for a potential savings of $250,000 to 3,000 kilowatt hours per year. The current annual energy usage for the facility is approximately 2.5 million kilowatt hours. The solar power alternative would be eligible for $896,200 in State Revolving Fund Green Grant Program. The attached resolution will allow the city to pursue financing by borrowing up to $1.3 million from the Efficient Energy Buildings Fund for providing solar power at the wastewater treatment facility. I move approval of accompanying resolution.
Second?
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilor Leonard.
I was looking at this, and I just want to be sure. This is to set up funding only.
That's right.
It
That's
would
right.
come back to us for an actual vote to spend the money if we approve going forward. Is that correct?
To implement the solar array, yes.
All right.
Yes.
And in
Be a change
this-
order, for that matter,
Right.
to the
And
contract.
in this, I just wanted, the bond would be for 1.3 million. The estimated cost would be somewhere around 1.5 to 2 million, according to when I asked before the meeting. And we are, I guess, assured, and that would be my comment, of about 896,000 from the SF Green grant. So let's say I can put it in I'm kind of blunt. So out of the taxpayers' money, should this move forward at a later date, I am going to guess, and this is what I want to be confirmed, that out of the taxpayers' money would come approximately $404,000. Is that the number that, after grant reimbursement, what would be the actual number that the city would be, taxpayers would be on the hook for?
Could we please have Julia Forge or Laura Citron
why don't-
come to the podium just to explain that?
Yeah. By the way, as they're walking up here, don't forget about the savings aspect of it. We've done some back-of-the-envelope calculations as to the savings per year on this, based upon 250
Well,
to
that was my
300
next question.
kilowatt hours, and the savings are, what we've come up with, approximately $120,000 a year.
Which would be about 10 years to recoup, correct?
I'll let Laura address that.
The amount of money out of the tax or ratepayers' pockets would really depend upon what the actual cost of the solar comes in at. Right now, my understanding is that it was an alternative that could be picked up as part of the contract that was just recently approved. It was not included in the contract that went to you guys for a vote. So those numbers have to be tightened up and clarified. And what we've been told is that it's somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million approximately that the solar will cost. But as I said, they're working on that now to try to tighten up those numbers and get a better estimate. That contract will come to you as a contract amendment at some point when those numbers are better. When we met with Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank on Thursday, they told us that they had $896,000 of green funding available, and that we were the only project they had that was in their borrowing pool at this point in time that was eligible for those funds. So,
I guess what I'd say is, it looks like that we would recoup the funds probably in a 10-year range. And if I am thinking correctly, this would not do everything in terms of the needs that we have, so there would be no excess to sell of power. But it would take care of some of our needs. And so I guess when it comes back to us, I would kind of like to know on behalf of the taxpayers, are we going to get any kind of warranties or anything that says that the production and use of this solar would actually lead to those savings? But I mean, that's down the road, but I'm kind of stingy, so I would like to know before we spend the money that we in fact are going to get a product that's going to save the users the money that we're anticipating. Thank you.
Just by the way, we are also, just in addition to this small solar array, we are looking at a much larger one that we are having that is proposed to be constructed. Middletown's looking at it on an administrative level. I'm looking at it on an administrative level. I'm going to bring it back to you at some time once the savings with that solar array or potentially tying into it are determined based upon an examination of all our cash outlay for electricity. So we're not looking at solar in a vacuum for just this particular, and quite frankly, even that solar array is not going to take care of all our energy needs, and there will ultimately be a question about, whether we sign on to it, and if you're so interested in how much we are committed to purchasing through a solar array. But so we're kind of heading in that direction. I'm not so sure that you can nail down there can be any guaranteed savings, but it's certainly an opportunity.
Well, I think it's a good deal, because it's one way to look at it, to say that it's going to take a decade to recoup your cost, but you can also look at it from a different perspective. After 2.5 years, you're saving the taxpayers 25%. After 5 years, half of that, and so on and so on. And after 10 years, if you're looking at this from a long-term.
I have some schedules about the pricing that goes out 20 years that I can share with you.
Usually happen in the rates also, so.
It's a function of the rates, right.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Counselor.
I just want to ask the manager, when do you anticipate actually bringing something back to us to spend money?
Well, on the other array.
On this one.
On this one?
Yeah, this is to borrow the money, not to spend it.
Yeah. Not for a while, but go ahead, Julia.
Well, we're kind of on the fast track because this is the first group of projects with the Efficient Energy Fund. So we need the resolution, and now we're also preparing the application so we can get on the priority list, and the boards will be looking later this month to make the vote as to which project. So we have no guarantee that our project is going to get selected. This is just what we need to do to get on the project priority list for the first round of funding in this fund program.
You would anticipate sometime
If
in 6 months?
we get selected, it's possible we could have some of the panels up by the end of the year, because the first thing they'll be doing is the roofs on some of the buildings, so it will get phased. Those would be the first ones. They could expedite, get those up. The panels that are on the ground would be later, so until construction's completed, because we still have all the other improvements at the plant. But we could start seeing, if we're selected, we still have to be selected.
So taking the discrete action to amend the contract to allow this to be done would be something we would vote on quite soon.
Yes, yes, that's all. If we're selected.
And if, Julie, just remind the council, as an aside, when when we're supposed to be online with the retrofitting.
June 30th, 2019.
Right.
Is
so
everything.
We're on a tight window in any event.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Counselor.
I commend you for going after the grant and using the creativity to go and apply for it. I always look 1 year down the road, 5 years down the road. It's just the way my brain thinks, but thank you for doing it.
Okay, are we ready to vote? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn as council and convene as Board of License Commissioners.
Second?
There's a motion second to convene as the Board of License Commissioners. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar in its entirety.
Second.
There's a motion second to approve the consent calendar in its entirety. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Public hearing on an application of Amore Inc., DBA Wellington Square Liquors, 580 Thames Street, to transfer its Class A alcoholic beverage license.
This is a hearing. Is there anybody here to represent Wellington Square Liquors? Please.
3 minutes.
I never thought I'd miss this place.
You get 3 minutes, Mr. Scott.
I don't
Three minutes.
I don't want 3 minutes.
You already used 2 of them.
Madam Chair, Turner Scott, I represent the Turnip Greens LLC, the applicant in this matter for the license transfer.
Any questions from the council for Mr. Scott?
Oh, yeah, I have one, Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilor Leonard.
This is for the actual liquor store.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's a separate entity from one of the owners who owns another business at that site.
Yes.
That address. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing and approve subject to payments of all bills of indebtedness.
Second.
There's a motion to close the public hearing and approve subject to all bills of indebtedness. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board.
A public hearing on the application of NDC Enterprises, DBA Norris, 156 Broadway, to expand its licensed premise to include the Sidewalk Cafe.
This is a public hearing. Is there anybody to address Norris 156 Broadway for an outdoor cafe?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing and approve.
Second.
There's a motion second to approve. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
A public hearing on the application of Parlor LLC, DBA Parlor, 200 Broadway, to expand its licensed premise to include the Sidewalk Cafe.
Yes, this is an application for 200 Broadway, Parlor LLC, for a cafe license. This is a hearing. Is there anybody here to address it?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing and approve.
Second.
There's a motion second to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn as Board of License Commissioners and convene pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Section 4246-1 and 4246-5, purposes for which meetings may be closed. Personnel issues, for discussions of job performance, character, or physical mental health persons. The City Council will discuss in executive session issues relating to personnel issues involving the City Solicitor's Office.
Second.
There's a motion second. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.